Dave, thanks again for joining us. And first of all, obviously the COVID-19 crisis, and then perhaps I know you want to reference just the events of the last couple of days in terms of the tornadoes. So, what's going on right now in Chattanooga, and how is your organization responding?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have a crisis within a crisis. So normally, a tornado tearing through your community would, be a crisis in itself. But we woke up Monday morning to 150 buildings torn to the ground. And, this is East Chattanooga, and there's a lot of businesses over there. There's a lot of residents over there. So fortunately, the team is okay. And helping out their friends and family dealing with power issues, internet issues, and trying to come back. So we pulled together immediately, reached out to our partners to see who was affected. We do know, some of our restaurant partners have lost their buildings, but for the most part, partnering with other community foundations, United Way, to help raise money to, relieve this crisis within a crisis. Going into Easter, this is downtown Chattanooga, and this is still what downtown Chattanooga looks like. It was unaffected. It's like the rest of the world right now, in that it is shut down, and events are canceled. Our mayor canceled events through the end of May. So, in terms of us tracking COVID, Tennessee's actually doing fairly well. Hamilton County is also doing well. So that's kind of a summary of the situation in Chattanooga.
So how has the crisis sort of impacted Chattanooga Tourism Company, the CVB itself, in terms of, your staffing, funding, and, basically the support you can offer right now and in the next few months?
Well, we everything kind of hit on March 13th. It was the first case. The attractions shut down. Business was booming up until then. Even going into that weekend, there were just a ton of people in town. By Monday, we were all remote, and we have the fortune of having a CEO and board that had the foresight to have reserves in place, laptops in everybody's hands, and the technology to immediately make that transition. That's not everybody's situation, but we are fortunate in that sense. We did shut down the visitor center, and our part-time staff has been temporarily let go, but for the most part, we're able to operate and achieve some things.
And so what are you focusing on right now in the next month or so in terms of your priorities on where you can offer the most value?
So right out of the gate, we went remote Monday, and by Tuesday, which was St. Patrick's Day, we had launched a program we called Connect Chat. And I give credit to my team and their innovation and rapid response, but we decided that bars and restaurants were closing down. People couldn't get out. And we wanted to bring them a moment of kind of happiness. So that, smaller picture down there is our first live broadcast. And this band was wonderful. They played from their home. They put out a tip jar, raised enough for a gig for the day that they otherwise would have had for St. Patrick's Day. We also started paying the artists that we do through this, expanding it to include, takeout demos and cocktail demos, and we also had so everybody's favorite was chocolate covered bacon. So how do you make that at home? This is actually an image from a bacon festival we had, so that's not actually chocolate if anybody's looking close. But
I'm feeling hungry, Dave.
Well, good food and good music kind of lifts spirits. And the whole idea was, how do we help our partners as quickly and rapidly as we can? How do we create some good feelings? How do we help people connect when they can't connect? And we got on it rapidly because spirits were going downhill fast. For those that wanted to go out for St. Patrick's Day and couldn't, we wanted to bring that into people's homes. So that was the very first thing, and that was outward facing. We've since been able to partner with the state of Tennessee, and we're working on bringing in some other partners like our internet provider, um, to be able to elevate this program, to pay more artists, to have more people perform live. And we let them actually broadcast from our Facebook Live channel. And then we put some dollars behind that. And with these partners, we're able to get this out in front of Chattanooga fans, not just locals, but people around the region, trying to stay top of mind, trying to make sure that the efforts that we put into growing Chattanooga as a music destination over the past 5 to 10 years continue, and people can see that and engage with that. So the other thing we did was we also really started focusing inwards. And thank you, Chris, for bringing us together as a community. And there's hundreds of my counterparts across the nation on this call, and I'm honored to be in, speaking to them. But what we did in our community was to try to do that for all of our partners. And we went, so within a week of the crisis hitting, we had daily discussions, and we had 50 to 100 people on these discussions, partners. And we had the mayor, and we had data. And thank you for pulling this data together, and for Uber Media and your other partners for making this available for free. It's been very empowering to be able to share that with our communities. So thank you very much for that. So trying to connect with the visitors, trying to connect with our local community, that's been the immediate response.
So then, thinking about the sort of medium term, Dave, so, what's next? So what sort of plans, projects, programs are you going to be focusing on in the next sort of 2 to 4 months?
So we, like Evan was saying, focusing on local first, and thinking that the way in which we've entered this crisis is also the way in which we'll exit. We think of it as a pyramid. So the last restrictions that were put on us will be the first ones to be lifted, and the first restrictions that were put on will be the last to be lifted. So the last restrictions were stay at home, and we think that we're looking at everybody can spend all their time focused on trying to figure out when that is, but right now April 30th is that time that I think 15 states have centered around, and a lot of people seem to be looking at. So those stay-at-homes lifting. Well, what can we do to get our local community out and engaging with the restaurants, going to anything that might be reopening? And the big barrier right now, as you've shown through the data, is safety and fear and concerns around the virus. So I think that all of us as destinations need to be at the table and be pushing for sustainability, and the fact that we're in a position right now that's not really sustainable. We can't keep everything shut down forever, right? This is a necessary step to help stop the virus as much as we could. But the economy and our mental health can't sustain that. So how do we get to a place of sustainability? And one of our focuses is going to be on safety. So one of our upcoming webinars is going to bring all of our partners together to talk about what are you doing to improve the safety of your restaurant, your attraction, your event, your hotel, and then identify those that are going above and beyond and feature them in spots that will share out. This helps with elevating the confidence of our visitors, our locals, our officials that are making decisions, our health department, and bringing all of them, through the process early, and then releasing those spots when the time is right. Obviously that's not now, but when we get closer, when there's a light at the end of the tunnel, making sure that we have some safety awareness. So that's one big initiative. The other thing is just around visiting friends and relatives. We think that you miss your family the most. We all are on these family Zoom calls, right? And I know in my family Zoom call, we said, when are we getting together? Where are we getting together? We're already starting to have these conversations and think about these opportunities. So talking with our own local community to say, we know you miss your family, bring them here, connect here, and using our biggest attractions to also say we miss you too, and bringing that all together in a very emotional type appeal to people that when the time is right, we're ready and it's time to get back together. So those are some of the big kind of intermediate visions for us.
Yeah, I think that's smart thinking. The locals, we've already, emphasized the critical importance there, and making sure that dealing with those issues of opening up, they're feeling comfortable, and of course, then they're communicating with friends and family, and that certainly reconnecting with people who are familiar with the destination, familiar with people in that destination, and using visiting friends and relatives as a second sort of jumping off point makes a lot of sense, Dave. Now, we've got a question from Kristen. Is there a website for Connect Chattanooga? I think it's available right off your website, isn't it?
Yeah, it's visitchattanooga.com/connect. And if you jump in there, you'll see that we're using it to connect with our industry partners as well as with our visitors. So you have a path to choose once you get in there, for the information you're seeking. And then we take the live experiences. If you go down the visitor path, we take the live experiences and we put those up there, and you can click into them and see some examples of some of the things that were done.
Very good.
Pictures of bacon up this whole time, so I hope everybody's not too hungry. And I just, this is just some other examples of some of the content, chef demos. But on the right there is a hotel that was sharing a little love, and that image actually went viral within that community, of just a way to express we're all in this together.
Yeah, actually, that symbol has been used by destinations all over the world. I was just checking out Flagstaff, Arizona's got a quite an extraordinary sort of local engagement program, and Wellington, in my home country, New Zealand's also done some wonderful things in terms of engaging with their locals. So there's great examples all over the world in terms of programs on how to connect, engage, and activate the local community.
Chris, I just want to share this image. One of our visitor center staff is an artist, and noticed that people were walking around the neighborhood. And so he took some of his art and just put it out in front of his house so that people had something, beautiful to view. And this actually inspired an idea where a much smaller community created an auction. And the auction that we think of normally raises money for a particular charity. And in this scenario, everybody needs help. And so what we're doing is, and it's emulating this other community, is to create an auction where artists can put up art, and the benefits 100% go back to the artists. Attractions can put up annual passes, restaurants can put up gift cards. And the people buying these things are definitely locals, but visitors too. They want to make sure that they support your community. They want to make sure that they reach out, and that the restaurant, their favorite restaurant's still there, or their favorite attraction, they have a pass to. And the idea is help restart now, and get that flow going now, so that when you're ready to travel, we'll still be here, and you have a pass, you have a gift card or something you can use in the community.
Yeah. And again, there's programs all over the world that are, those various ways of supporting local businesses. So the aquarium, obviously one of your key attractions.
Yes, and I had this in here to talk about the extra efforts that they've gone to clean the facility, and how we're going to highlight that in some of our attractions. And that again, we're all coming back together with our friends and family, and we're all looking for that magic opportunity to reopen. But I think one important message is, and I've heard it said before, that we're not going back to normal, at least not right away. What I think we need to be working towards is sustainability, and we should be at the table within those conversations, trying to work with our partners to instill that confidence to get to that sustainable place. And that may mean that there's some give and take and sacrifice on the length before we get to have groups of 50 or more, or we're at 100% capacity. And that's where, if we're proactive about it as a industry, we can get ahead of this and instill confidence and also do our part to try and minimize the spread.
Yeah, very good. So Dave, we'll come back to you with a couple of final questions. So thanks again for sharing perspective from Chattanooga and examples. So again, we'll be sharing both the slides, the webinar recording, and Chattanooga's quite extraordinary range of resources. There's quite an eclectic variety of ways in which you've showcased the destination there.